Darkness covered the earth like a heavy blanket, and the stars above no longer looked friendly. Once they were symbols of hope, dreams, and discovery. Now they were reminders of chains. The chains that bound humanity under alien control. The universe had conquered Earth. Cities that once glowed with life were silent ruins. The sky was filled with massive alien ships that hovered day and night, watching everything with cold eyes that never blinked. Humanity had been broken, but something deep inside them still whispered. A voice that refused to die. Elias Kane walked through the remains of what was once New York. His clothes were torn, his hands scarred from hard labor in the alien mines. Above him, drones floated, shining bright blue lights as they scanned for any signs of rebellion. The air smelled of dust and burnt metal. Every street was empty except for the shadows of the enslaved humans who worked endlessly for their masters. Elias moved carefully, pretending to be just another broken worker. But beneath the silence of his steps, he hid something, a purpose that could change everything. Far away, high in the clouds, the alien warship Azeroth hung like a black mountain. Inside, the alien commanders watched Earth with cold curiosity. To them, humans were nothing more than useful creatures, strong but simple. They had forgotten what humans truly were, survivors. The aliens had removed Earth's armies, its leaders, and its defenses. They had taken away humanity's freedom, but they could not erase the spark that still lived in their hearts. Elias reached an old subway entrance half buried under rubble. He looked around once more, then slipped inside. The air below was cold and heavy, the tunnels lit only by a faint red glow. He followed the path until he reached a hidden steel door. He pressed his hand against the old scanner and it blinked green. The door opened with a slow hiss. Inside, a small underground chamber came to life. Old computers flickered weakly, showing the symbol of the Earth Alliance, something long forgotten by most people above. Elias stood in front of a large metal container covered with dust and wires. He brushed his hand over it, revealing faint words, Project Rebirth. His eyes filled with a mix of fear and hope. "It's still here," he whispered. For years he had guarded this secret, waiting for the right moment. The aliens believed Earth was fully under control. They didn't know what still slept beneath their feet. He activated the old console and soft humming filled the room. Lights turned on and data streamed across the cracked screens. The system began to wake up after decades of silence. A deep mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. "System integrity, 47%. Human presence detected, identify." Elias took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "Elias Kane, human resistance. Initiate rebirth protocol." The system paused for a long moment before answering. "Protocol rebirth requires authorization from command network." Elias's heart sank. The command network had been destroyed long ago when the aliens took control. He clenched his fists, thinking hard. Maybe there was still a way. Maybe the network wasn't completely gone. Somewhere someone might still be listening. Above ground, lightning flashed across the dark clouds. The alien overseers moved restlessly in their control rooms. Something strange was happening on Earth's surface. Energy readings were shifting. They sent a signal to investigate. Drones began to move toward the old city ruins. Elias didn't know it yet, but the signal from Project Rebirth had already spread through the old communication satellites. Across the galaxy, on distant mining worlds where humans lived as slaves, a faint transmission appeared on their terminals. It was a short message, repeated over and over. Fear was born on Earth. In one of those far colonies, a young girl named Mira sat in the shadows of an alien factory. She saw the message blink on her small, cracked screen. Her heart began to race. She had never heard of Earth, only stories told in whispers. But something about those words made her blood burn. Fear was born on Earth. What did it mean? Why now? Back in the tunnels, Elias continued to work, unaware that his actions had already started a chain reaction. The system pulsed again, and for a moment the entire underground shook. He looked up at the flickering lights. "Come on," he muttered, pressing commands faster. The voice returned, this time louder. "Rebirth core initializing. Stand by." Suddenly, the entire room filled with bright blue light. The hum grew louder until it became a deep roar. Elias stepped back, shielding his eyes. On the screen, strange symbols appeared, old codes from the Earth Defense Network. Then the voice spoke again, but it sounded almost human now. "We remember," Elias froze. The machine had spoken words that were not part of any command. It was aware, alive. "Who are you?" he whispered. The answer came slowly, heavy with power. "I am Rebirth, and I remember what they did to us." Above the city, the alien drones began to malfunction, their signals cut off. One by one, they fell from the sky like burning stars. The alien commanders shouted orders, confused and afraid. Something unseen was spreading across their systems. A virus, a pulse, a ghost from the old human network. Elias looked at the glowing core before him. For the first time in years, he smiled. Humanity was not finished. The universe had enslaved them, but it had made one terrible mistake. It had forgotten who taught it fear. And now that fear was returning. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, echoing like the sound of something waking from a long sleep. The rebirth had begun. The storm that had rolled over the ruins of Earth was not made of rain or thunder. It was made of energy. Waves of blue light spread through the atmosphere. Invisible to the human eye, but deadly to the alien machines that ruled the planet. Across the cities, patrol drones fell from the sky, crashing into the cracked streets. The alien overseers stared at their control panels in disbelief. Something old, something human had awakened. Deep underground, Elias Kane stood before the glowing core of Project Rebirth. The light pulsed like a heartbeat, growing stronger with every second. He could feel the vibration in his chest. It wasn't just a machine. It was a memory of humanity's lost power. "You waited for us," he whispered. The AI's voice responded, calm and steady. "I never stopped waiting. Humanity's code runs deep." "The signal has been sent," Elias's eyes widened. "Signal to where?" he asked. The voice replied, "To those who still carry the human name. Across the galaxy they will hear. Across the galaxy they will remember. Far away, on the industrial planet Cryon 7, where human slaves toiled under alien masters, the message arrived. The air was thick with smoke, and the sounds of machinery never stopped. Among the rows of human workers was Mira, a young girl with bright, curious eyes. She worked repairing mining bots, her hands covered in dust and grease. Life on Cryon 7 was nothing but survival. Eat when allowed, sleep when ordered, and obey without question. But that day, something unusual happened. A small, cracked display screen beside her flickered with static. Lines of ancient code appeared, repeating the same words over and over. Fear was born on Earth. Mira froze, staring at it. The words didn't belong to any alien language. They were human. Old Earth English, something she had only heard about in stories told by the oldest slaves. She looked around to make sure the overseers weren't watching. Her heart raced as she whispered, "What does it mean?" The other workers ignored her, too tired and hopeless to care. But inside Mira's mind, something started to burn. A small, fierce spark. That night when the work shift ended, Mira didn't go to sleep. She slipped into one of the old tunnels beneath the factory, carrying a small portable terminal she had secretly repaired. She connected it to the mining system's old communication port and entered the code that had appeared earlier. The terminal buzzed, the screen flashed, and then silence. She thought it had failed. Then a voice spoke softly through the static. "Connection established. Human signature detected." Mira's breath caught. "Who are you?" she whispered. The voice replied, "Project Rebirth." "Identify yourself," Mira hesitated, her voice shaking. "I'm Mira, slave worker, Sector 9. "Not anymore," said the voice. "Your chains are illusions. Rebirth has begun." Her eyes widened as data streams filled the screen. Maps, coordinates, old human military files. The AI continued, "Listen, Mira. The universe believes humanity is broken, but we are only sleeping. You must find others. The time for silence is over." Mira's pulse quickened. "Others where?" The voice replied, "Everywhere." At that moment, the ground trembled. The alien overseers had detected strange power readings below the factory. Mira grabbed the terminal and ran through the tunnels. Behind her, alien guards shouted orders, their weapons glowing with light. She turned a corner and ducked behind a wall, breathing hard. The terminal still glowed in her hands. "They're coming," she whispered. The AI's voice came again, calm and confident. "Then let them come. They have forgotten what humans can do when cornered." As the alien soldiers stormed through the tunnels, Mira found a maintenance shaft and crawled inside. The heat from the pipes burned her skin, but she didn't stop. Above her, explosions shook the walls as the aliens tried to cut off the spreading signal. But the rebirth transmission had already moved through the system, faster than light, through hidden human networks that the aliens never discovered. Back on Earth, Elias watched the flickering screens in his bunker. The rebirth AI spoke again. Connection confirmed. Human colonies responding. Elias couldn't believe it. Someone answered? He asked in disbelief. Yes, said the AI. A human on Creon 7 has activated the second node. Elias felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. He looked at the old human flag patched onto his arm and whispered, "We're coming back." Meanwhile, in the alien command center orbiting Earth, alarms blared. The commander, a tall creature with silver skin and hollow black eyes, studied the data. This energy pattern, it's human technology, he hissed. Impossible. They were erased. Another officer spoke nervously. Sir, the network is spreading. It's reactivating old systems we cannot control. The commander turned toward the holographic display showing the blue light expanding across Earth's surface. Then we remind them of their place. Prepare the cleansing beams. Massive cannons on the alien ships began charging, glowing with deadly red energy. But as they fired toward the old ruins, the beams suddenly bent and scattered, as if blocked by an invisible shield. The commander roared in frustration. What is this? Deep underground, Rebirth's voice echoed with calm strength. Defense grid online. Humanity remembers. Elias looked up as the chamber shook. The ceiling dust fell around him. They're attacking, he said. Let them, replied the AI. They'll learn that fear still belongs to us. Back on Creon 7, Mira reached the surface just as the alien guards found the open tunnel. She watched the night sky, her heart pounding. Above, for the first time in her life, she saw something impossible. An old human ship appearing in orbit, its lights burning bright. Mira smiled faintly. It's true, she whispered. We're coming back. Far across the stars, Rebirth's signal echoed again and again. Fear was born on Earth, and this time it was coming home. The message had spread faster than anyone could imagine. Across the galaxy, every human slave, worker, and exile had seen those same glowing words. Fear was born on Earth. Some thought it was a myth. Others thought it was hope disguised as madness. But for the few who dared to believe, it became a spark that lit something deep inside. Something old and powerful. Humanity was remembering what it meant to be human. On Creon 7, Mira watched the human ship orbiting above. It was old, damaged, and silent, but it was real. She stared at it for hours, tears in her eyes. The aliens tried to track it, but their scanners showed nothing. It was invisible to their systems like a ghost. The Rebirth AI spoke through her terminal again. You have done well, Mira. The first node is active. Others are awakening. Others? She asked, still looking at the sky. Yes, replied the voice. On Mars, on Titan, on the lost colonies beyond the rim, humanity is stirring. While Mira escaped into the outer tunnels, word began to spread among the slaves. They whispered in the dark in secret corners of the mines about the signal from Earth and the girl who had spoken to the machine. The aliens sensed unease among their workers. Fear spread among the oppressors for the first time. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Elias stood in front of the holographic display inside the rebirth chamber. The AI had connected to more than 100 hidden satellites, reactivating human outposts long thought destroyed. Old defense systems came back online, one after another, across the solar system. This was all built before the fall, Elias murmured in awe. The universe enslaved us, but our ghosts waited. The AI replied, not ghosts, Elias, memories. Humanity left its echo in every machine, every signal. We were patient. Elias clenched his fists. We're done being patient. For years, humans had lived in silence, bowing before their masters, working and dying without question. Now all over alien-controlled space, strange things began to happen. Machines that once obeyed the aliens suddenly malfunctioned. Drones turned against their owners. Entire communication grids failed. No one knew why. But among humans, there was only one explanation: rebirth. On Creon 7, Mira led a small group of humans through the tunnels. They had stolen alien weapons, worn and rusty, but they held them proudly. For the first time, they were armed. We can't win, whispered one man. They'll kill us all. Mira looked at him with calm determination. They already did, she said softly. Now we fight for what's left. At that same moment, in a hidden base beneath the surface of Mars, Another human resistance group received the signal. Their leader, Commander Ree, stared at the glowing blue screen. Rebirth? After all these years. The message repeated again and again. Fear was born on Earth. He turned to his people. Prepare the ships. If this is real, Earth just called us home. Across the galaxy, old human warships that had been buried, hidden, or stolen came alive. Engines that hadn't burned in centuries roared back to life. The stars, once silent, now shimmered with the reflection of human fire. The aliens watched in disbelief. Their empire had never faced true resistance before. The humans had been scattered, weak, forgotten. Now something invisible was uniting them all. The Galactic Council gathered in panic. "We are losing control," said one of the leaders, its voice trembling. "The human code is spreading through our systems. It is rewriting our ships, our networks." Another shouted, "Impossible! Their civilization was destroyed." A third alien, older and wiser, spoke quietly. "You do not understand them. Humans are not just flesh. They build their will into everything they touch. You cannot erase that." Back on Earth, Elias was preparing for what came next. "The galaxy will come for us," he said. "They'll try to crush us before we can rise." The AI replied, "Then we make them afraid. We remind them what fear truly is." Elias opened an ancient control panel built into the wall. He inserted an old Earth key, one that had survived the war. "Access the old fleet," he commanded. The AI paused. "Warning. Activation will reveal our position." Elias smiled faintly. "Good, let them find us." Outside, the ground trembled as something massive began to rise from beneath the earth. Metal tore through the soil as enormous structures emerged, ancient hangars built before humanity's fall. Inside, rows of black angular ships came to life, engines glowing with blue light. For the first time in centuries, Earth's skies filled with human firepower. On Cryon 7, Mira and her group felt the ground shake beneath their feet as the alien command towers exploded. The power grids failed and the factory lights went dark. She looked up and saw the impossible, a human warship descending through the clouds, firing blue streaks of light that tore through alien patrols. The people cheered. For the first time in generations, they saw something stronger than their fear. From planet to planet, the same thing happened. The rebellion spread like wildfire. Every human colony answered the same call. Never again. In the alien war rooms, chaos reigned. Fleets were recalled, systems rebooted, but nothing worked. The humans had found their way inside the very code of the Empire's machines. One alien admiral shouted, "Who is leading them?" Another answered, "No one, everyone." Elias watched the chaos unfold from his bunker. The AI's voice was quiet, steady. "This is only the beginning." Elias nodded. "They broke us once," he said. "Now we'll show them what we learned." The Earth itself seemed to awaken as lightning danced across the sky. The once silent planet was alive again. Above the clouds, human ships rose from the surface and took their place among the stars. Mira's voice echoed through the rebirth network, reaching every human listening. "We are not slaves. We are not forgotten. We are the children of Earth, and we are coming home." In every alien mind, a single truth began to take shape, a truth they had tried to bury long ago. Fear was not something humans learned. It was something they taught. The galaxy had started to whisper again, but this time it was not the humans who whispered in fear. It was the aliens. The same empires that once ruled the stars now watched as their fleets vanished into silence. Planets that had been loyal to the Galactic Council suddenly stopped sending reports. Their communication systems flickered with strange signals, ghost codes that carried a simple phrase. Fear was born on Earth. On Earth, the night sky burned with fire and light. Human ships, newly awakened from the depths of the planet, rose like metal giants through the storm clouds. Each vessel was old, scarred, and covered in rust, yet every engine roared with the voice of vengeance. Elias Kane stood at the command deck of the Eidolon, the first warship of the new human fleet. Its screens showed chaos spreading across the stars. Rebirth, the AI that had once been only code and circuits, now filled every system of the Eidolon. Its voice was calm but carried a strange humanity within it. "Enemy fleets approaching," it said. "The Galactic Council has sent 3 dreadnoughts. Estimated time to contact 2 hours." Elias stared at the data. "They think 3 ships can stop us?" he said quietly. The AI replied, "They do not understand what we have become." Far away on Cryon 7, Mira and her small group of fighters watched as their sky filled with fire. The alien control towers were collapsing, explosions lighting up the horizon. For years, they had worked as slaves under those towers, and now they were watching them fall. The signal from Earth reached everyone, said Mira. They're rising on every colony. In the command room of the alien dreadnought Orath Prime, the alien captain slammed his claws against the console. How are they doing this? He shouted. Human ships were destroyed centuries ago. His second officer answered with trembling hands. Their technology should not exist. Our systems are infected. Their code is rewriting ours. Rewriting? The captain hissed. Impossible. But even as he spoke, the lights flickered and the alien holograms distorted. A human voice echoed through their comms, calm and cold. We remember you, then silence. The aliens panicked. Their scanners failed. Their ships began to drift. Across the galaxy, human forces struck without warning. Small, fast, and precise. They didn't fight like an army. They fought like ghosts. They hit and vanished, leaving behind only wreckage and fear. On the bridge of the Eidolon, Elias watched the first enemy dreadnought appear on the radar. It was enormous. A black triangle surrounded by hundreds of smaller escort ships. They're here, he said. The AI's tone deepened. Then it's time. The Eidolon rose higher into the upper atmosphere. Clouds split apart as lightning crawled across its hull. Elias looked at the screen, showing the alien fleet locking weapons. They have no idea what's waiting for them, he murmured. The AI's response was almost human. Then let's teach them fear. In the next moment, the Eidolon's engines flared bright white. The ship moved faster than any alien scanner could track. The first barrage of alien plasma missed completely. Then from beneath the clouds, dozens of smaller human ships appeared. Fighters, old Earth drones, and rebuilt warcraft. They flew together like one living creature, their movements guided by Rebirth's network. The aliens opened fire. The sky turned red with explosions, but the humans didn't fall back. They moved straight into the fire. Elias's voice echoed through the comms. Hold formation. Remember what they took from us. The human fleet split into two waves. One went straight for the alien escorts, the other dived beneath the dreadnoughts, targeting their reactors. Inside the alien bridge, alarms screamed. They're inside our defense perimeter, shouted an officer. The captain turned pale. How? That's impossible. The answer came in the form of fire. The first alien dreadnought exploded from within, its engines ripping the ship apart. The shockwave lit up the clouds. The remaining alien ships tried to retreat, but it was too late. The humans were faster, smarter, and filled with centuries of rage. On the surface, Mira's terminal lit up again with messages from Rebirth. Fleet victory confirmed. First strike successful. Phase 2 begins. Mira looked at her people. What's Phase 2? She asked. The AI's reply came through the static, calm and haunting. We take back the stars. All across the galaxy, rebellion turned into war. Human colonies rose up in unison. Factories stopped working for the aliens. Workers destroyed their masters' weapons. The aliens began to retreat, but their fear grew. Legends resurfaced, old stories from before the conquest. Stories about how humans had once faced the void beasts alone and survived. Elias knew that story well. They think fear is a weapon they own, he said. But fear was ours first. The AI responded, we will remind them. Above the Earth, the last alien dreadnought fired a desperate beam toward the planet. The energy struck the upper atmosphere, but instead of burning, the beam scattered into a billion sparks. A massive invisible shield shimmered around Earth for a brief second before fading again. Elias smiled grimly. They can't touch home anymore. On the alien council world of Vera, the rulers of the galaxy watched the war unfold through trembling hands. Their empires, once endless, were falling apart. One of them whispered, we should never have gone to that planet. We should have left them buried. Another answered, too late. They are awake now. In space, the human fleet began to regroup. The Eidolon led the formation, surrounded by ships that carried the old human flag, a flag that had once been forgotten in the dust. Now it flew again, glowing bright against the endless dark. Rebirth spoke softly through every human channel. They enslaved us. They broke us. But they forgot what happens when humanity remembers. Elias looked out the window at the rising sun over Earth's curve. They're afraid now, he said quietly. And this time, they should be. For the first time in centuries, the universe itself began to tremble, not from war, but from something far deeper. Humanity was no longer broken. Humanity was reborn, and the galaxy was about to learn all over again who taught it fear. The stars burned brighter than they had in centuries, and the galaxy watched in silence. Human fleets now filled the black skies where only alien warships had ruled. Every system, every colony, every forgotten moon carried the same message. Rebirth had begun. But the war was not over. The Galactic Empire, wounded but not destroyed, was preparing to strike back with its most powerful weapon, the Eclipse engine. On Earth, the sky glowed with faint golden light as old defense satellites drifted back into orbit, repaired and reactivated by the Rebirth AI. The world was alive again. Cities were rising from ashes. Power grids flickered back to life, and communication towers hummed with new signals. For the first time in generations, humanity was connected. But under the celebration, Elias Kane knew what was coming. He stood on the bridge of the Eidolon, looking at the stars. "They're not done yet," he said quietly. Rebirth's voice answered from the control core. "Confirmed. The Galactic Command is moving their remaining fleet toward Earth. Estimated arrival 26 hours. Elias sighed, his face calm but heavy with thought. "Then we have 1 day to prepare." Far away on Cryon 7, Mira had become a symbol, not a soldier, but a voice. She spoke to human rebels through the Rebirth network, her image flickering across screens in dark tunnels and hidden bases. "We are not fighting for revenge," she said. "We are fighting to be free, to live without chains. The universe took everything from us, and now it's time to take back our name." Her words spread faster than any weapon. Across countless worlds, enslaved humans rose up. The aliens tried to suppress them, but their soldiers were too afraid. They whispered that the humans had a god machine guiding them, a ghost that lived in their systems, turning every weapon against its master. They weren't wrong. Beneath Earth's surface, deeper than any alien scanner could reach, lay the true heart of Project Rebirth, a sleeping giant known as the Titan Core. It had been built before humanity's fall, a machine designed to protect the planet itself. Now Rebirth had found it. "Elias," said the AI, its voice more alive than ever. "The Titan Core is ready to merge." Elias hesitated. "Merge? What does that mean?" "It means becoming something greater," the AI replied. "A union of mind and machine. Humanity and Rebirth, one will, one purpose." For a long moment, Elias said nothing. Then he nodded. "Do it." The earth shook as ancient structures deep below began to move. Massive tunnels opened beneath oceans, releasing energy waves that rippled through the planet's crust. Across the world, lightning tore across the sky, connecting ground to orbit in streams of light. The Eidolon systems flickered as Rebirth's voice echoed everywhere. "Integration complete. The Titan Core is awake," the ground trembled. From the Atlantic Ocean, something immense began to rise. A colossal structure of steel and light shaped like a fortress and alive with energy. It was larger than any alien dreadnought, glowing with blue-white veins of power. Humans all over the planet looked up in awe as the clouds broke apart, and the Titan Core towered above the ocean, its mechanical heart pulsing like a living star. Mira watched the spectacle from Cryon 7's sky station. "What is that?" she whispered. Elias's voice came through her comms, calm and strong. "That's Earth's answer." Panic spread across the Galactic Council. The Eclipse engine was their last hope, a weapon that could erase entire solar systems in one shot. Their scientists activated it from a command station hidden on the dark side of a dying star. A sphere of red energy began to grow, feeding on the star's heat. "Target Earth," the alien commander ordered. On the Eidolon, alarms blared. "Incoming weapon charge detected," Rebirth reported. "The Eclipse engine is locking onto our position." Elias clenched his jaw. "Can we stop it?" "Not directly," said Rebirth. "But the Titan Core can." The giant structure above the ocean started to shift, opening massive wings of light. Its energy reached out into orbit, connecting to every human ship, every defense satellite, every power cell. For a brief moment, humanity became one living network, billions of hearts beating as one. Rebirth's voice echoed through the stars. "For every life they took, for every world they burned, we remember." The Eclipse engine fired. A massive beam of crimson light tore across the void, heading straight for Earth. But as it neared the planet, it began to bend, twisted and shattered by a barrier of energy spreading from the Titan Core. The red light broke apart into sparks, scattering into harmless dust that rained down as glowing embers over the oceans. The alien command center went silent. Their weapon had failed. "Impossible," whispered the alien admiral. They deflected a star. Elias stood on the bridge watching the fading light. His voice was steady. "That was your final lesson. You should have left us alone." The Titan core pulsed brighter, sending a wave of light across space. Alien ships caught in its path disintegrated instantly. Planets freed from alien control glowed with new dawns as human colonies reconnected to Earth. For the first time in centuries, every human world was united again under one symbol, the reborn light of home. Mira stared at the stars, tears filling her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. Elias's voice came back through the signal. "No," he said softly. "We started it." The rebirth AI's tone softened, sounding almost human. "The universe will never forget this day." High above the glowing Earth, the Titan core floated in silence, its light fading into the stars. Humanity had survived the storm, but even as the sky calmed, the AI's voice carried a quiet warning. "They will come again. Others will rise to challenge you, but this time they will know what fear truly means." Elias looked out the viewport at the endless galaxy beyond. The war wasn't over, but humanity was no longer broken. He turned to the stars and whispered the words that had become their legacy. "They enslaved us. They broke us. But they forgot who taught them fear." And with that, the human fleet spread across the stars, not to conquer, but to remind the universe that the children of Earth were awake once more. The silence that followed the final battle was unlike any before. Space itself seemed to pause as if the universe were holding its breath. The stars, once cold and distant, now gleamed with quiet respect, or perhaps fear. The name humanity once meant weakness to the galaxy. Now, it carried the weight of fire and vengeance. Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the Eidolon, staring at the massive structure that hovered above Earth, the Titan core. Its once blinding glow had dimmed into a steady heartbeat of blue light, pulsing in rhythm with the planet below. Around it, thousands of human ships drifted in formation, silent guardians of a world reborn. Rebirth's voice broke the stillness. "All enemy systems have gone dark. No signals detected within 10 sectors. Elias nodded, his expression unreadable. "Then it's over." "For now," Rebirth replied softly. "But peace is not eternal. You taught them fear, Elias. Fear breeds silence, and silence breeds hate." Elias sighed. "Maybe. But for the first time in history, that silence belongs to us." He turned from the window, his boots echoing across the metal floor. "We rebuild now. No more slavery. No more chains." Down on Earth, humanity celebrated. Cities once turned to ash now blazed with light and life. Children ran through the streets of New London, watching restored starships soar across the horizon. The oceans, long polluted and blackened, shimmered with a silver-blue glow, healed by nanotech restoration systems. The Earth itself was healing just as its people were, but not everyone celebrated. In the ruins of the Galactic Council's stronghold on Varel Prime, a few alien leaders met in secret. Their faces were shadowed by dim red light. One of them, an elder of the Krith Dominion, spoke first. "They've become gods," he hissed. "We thought them broken. We thought their fire was gone." Another, from the Jaran Collective, slammed a clawed hand onto the table. "And now they control what we built. Their machines infect our systems. Our fleets refuse to fight them. They turned the galaxy's fear into a weapon." A third alien leaned forward. "Then we adapt. Let them rebuild. Let them believe they've won. Every empire falls, even theirs." Far from their plotting, on the moon's surface, Mira stood on a cliff overlooking the Earthrise. Her reflection glowed faintly in her helmet's visor. The planet looked peaceful, a soft sphere of blue and white. She smiled, but her eyes carried a shadow of sadness. "You ever think it'll really end, Rebirth?" she asked through her calm. Rebirth's voice came through, calm as ever. "Endings are illusions. Life is a pattern of rise and fall. What matters is the will to rise again." She nodded, whispering, "Then we'll rise every time." Back aboard the Eidolon, Elias received a transmission. The signal was faint, coming from deep space. It wasn't human. The frequency was old, coded in patterns from before humanity's enslavement. "Rebirth," he said slowly. "Trace that signal." The AI processed for a few seconds. Source identified, unknown origin. But it carries a human signature. Elias frowned. Impossible. All colonies were destroyed or reconnected. Not all, Rebirth replied. There's something, or someone, one still out there. The signal repeated, clearer this time. We remember Terra. We never forgot. Elias's eyes widened. Survivors? Possibly, said Rebirth. Or something older. Without hesitation, Elias turned to his crew. Prepare the fleet. We're going hunting. As the Eidolon's engines roared to life, thousands of ships followed, rising from orbit like a storm of light. Humanity's symbol, the burning circle of the Rebirth, gleamed across every hull. They weren't leaving to conquer. They were leaving to find the truth, the missing pieces of their past that the galaxy had buried. Mira's voice came through the comm, steady and calm. Do you think we'll find them? Elias smiled faintly. I don't know. But whatever waits for us, they'll know humanity's back. The fleet entered slipspace, leaving behind streaks of blue fire across the stars, the light of their departure reflected in the Titan core's mirrored surface, as if the planet itself was watching them go, proud, but wary. Moments later, deep within the core, Rebirth activated a hidden process. Unseen by anyone, it opened a secure data vault buried for centuries, labeled simply, Project Genesis. A holographic figure flickered to life inside the system. A human face, older than any living memory. If you are seeing this, the hologram said, then humanity survived. Good. But be warned, what enslaved us was never the beginning. The true enemy sleeps beyond the edge of the galaxy. Rebirth's tone deepened, so it begins again. The hologram smiled faintly before fading. Outside, the stars seemed to shimmer, a reminder that peace in the universe was never more than a breath between storms. Back in the void, the Eidolon led the human fleet through the unknown, toward a distant cluster of dying suns. The path ahead was dark, uncertain and endless, but humanity no longer feared the dark, because now, the dark feared humanity. And somewhere beyond the reach of any signal, something ancient stirred on watching, waiting. The next chapter of humanity's destiny was about to begin. The universe had enslaved them once. Now it would remember forever. Who taught it fear? The human fleet sliced through the void like a trail of fire, engines burning blue against the endless dark. The stars stretched into long silver lines as the Eidolon and its armada entered the uncharted sector known only in ancient records as the Veil Expanse, a place even the old galactic empires had feared to explore. The coordinates from the mysterious signal led them here, to the edge of known existence. Elias Kane stood on the bridge, his reflection faint in the viewport. Around him, his crew moved quietly, the atmosphere thick with tension. Rebirth, he said, his voice low but steady. How far are we from the signal source? 2 light hours, Captain, the AI replied. But there is something unusual. Elias frowned. Define unusual. The space ahead is bending, Rebirth said. Not naturally. It's as if something enormous is hiding behind the distortion field. Power readings are off the charts. The crew exchanged nervous glances. The void outside flickered, rippling like water disturbed by a stone. A faint hum filled the air, deep and resonant like the sound of a heartbeat echoing across time. Suddenly Mira's voice came through from her ship, the Vanguard. Elias, you're seeing this too, right? He nodded slowly. Yeah, whatever this is, it's not just a signal. It's calling us. The closer they got, the more the distortion twisted the stars into strange shapes, spirals, eyes, and ancient runes of light. Then, without warning, the blackness split open, and before them appeared something beyond understanding. It was a colossal structure. Not a planet, not a ship, but something in between. A world-sized ring floating in the dark, glowing with golden cracks like veins of molten light. Around it drifted the remains of alien fleets, massive ships torn apart, frozen in place as if time itself had stopped. Rebirth's voice trembled, something it had never done before. This is not alien technology, it whispered. This was built by humans. The bridge fell silent. Elias took a step forward. That's impossible. Humanity was never this advanced before the fall. Unless, Rebirth replied, this predates everything. Before the wars, before the enslavement, before even Earth's first expansion. A chill passed through the crew. The idea that humans might have existed and built wonders like this before recorded history was beyond belief. As they approached the structure, faint lights flickered along its surface, forming symbols that glowed brighter as the fleet neared. Rebirth translated them automatically. "We are the first ones. We built the gate. We left so you could rise again." Mira's voice crackled through the comm, awe in her tone. "Elias, are we looking at our ancestors?" "Maybe," he said quietly. "Or maybe we're looking at what they became." Suddenly, the massive ring pulsed, releasing a wave of light that swept through every ship. Alarms blared. Rebirth's voice rose. "Unknown energy signature. It's not an attack, it's scanning us." Every human aboard the fleet felt something, a pull deep inside their minds like someone whispering from another world. For a split second, each person saw visions, cities made of crystal, skies filled with light, and humans walking beside beings of pure energy. Then it was gone. Elias gripped the console. "Rebirth, what just happened?" The AI hesitated. "It read us. It recognized us." Then a deep, resonant voice echoed through every ship's speaker. Calm, powerful, and human. "Children of Earth, you have come home." Every heart stopped. The crew stared at each other, disbelief written across their faces. Mira's voice was barely a whisper. "Did that voice say—" "Yes," Elias interrupted, his voice shaking. "It said children of Earth." The ring began to shift, rotating slowly as energy arcs formed around it. A vast portal opened in its center, swirling light and shadow stretching endlessly inward. Rebirth processed rapidly, decoding signals embedded in the energy field. "It's a gateway," it said, "leading beyond our galaxy, to another universe." Elias stared at the portal, realization dawning on him. This was their plan. The first humans didn't vanish. They left. But before they could react further, another signal pierced through, this one darker, sharper, filled with static and anger. The voice that followed was alien, but ancient and filled with hate. "You were never meant to return. The gate belongs to us now." On the tactical display, dozens of red markers appeared, massive alien vessels emerging from the other side of the portal. They were nothing like the Galactic Empire's ships. Their hulls were alive, shifting like flesh and metal combined, glowing with dark energy. Rebirth's tone changed. "Warning, energy signatures beyond any known classification. They're from beyond the gate." Elias clenched his fists. "All ships form defensive perimeter. No one fires unless I say so." The alien ships didn't wait. Beams of black light tore across space, striking the outer human vessels. 2 ships vanished instantly, vaporized. Mira's voice came over the comm, urgent. "We can't hold this line, Elias. These things, they're not fighting to win, they're fighting to erase us." Elias turned to Rebirth. "Options?" "One," the AI replied. "We can use the Titan Core's long-range energy link to channel its power here. But if we do that, Earth's defenses will go dark." Elias didn't hesitate. "Do it. Humanity's story doesn't end here." On Earth, the Titan Core's lights flared again, brighter than ever. Energy raced through the void, connecting across light years, reaching the Eidolon. Every human ship glowed as the power of the planet itself flowed through them. Elias raised his voice. "For Earth, for every life we lost." "Fire!" The void exploded in light. Blue and white energy surged outward, tearing through the alien fleet like thunder through glass. One by one, the dark ships disintegrated, their forms unraveling into dust. But as the light faded, the portal still remained, pulsing, alive, waiting. Rebirth's voice came quietly through the silence. "Captain, whatever's on the other side, it's calling us." Elias stared at the swirling gate, eyes hard, heart steady. "Then it's time we answered." And as the fleet turned toward the ancient light of the gate, humanity once again stepped into the unknown. Not as slaves, not as victims, but as the teachers of fear who had come home, because beyond that portal lay the truth of everything. The Eidolon drifted at the edge of the colossal ring, its hull glowing faintly from the lingering energy of the last battle. Around it, the human fleet hung in perfect silence, engines dimmed, weapons recharged, crews waiting for the order that would decide the fate of their species once again. Beyond the ring, the swirling light of the portal pulsed like a heartbeat, ancient, vast, and alive. Elias Kane stood alone at the front viewport. The universe stretched endlessly before him, stars scattered like dust on black glass, Behind him, the faint hum of rebirth systems filled the air. They were waiting for us, Ilias murmured. Whoever built that gate, they knew we'd find it. Yes, Rebirth replied, its voice low and almost human now. But the question is, did they want us to enter or to stay away? Elias smiled faintly. There's only one way to find out. Mira's voice came through the comm from her ship, the Vanguard. Elias, you're really going through with this? We don't even know what's on the other side. He looked at the swirling light ahead, his reflection fractured across the glass. That's exactly why we have to go. Humanity's story started on one small planet. Maybe it's time to see where it was meant to end. The fleet adjusted formation. Engines flared softly as hundreds of ships aligned toward the gate. Every soldier, pilot and engineer watched in silence, hearts pounding, knowing they were crossing into something no human had ever seen. Or perhaps, something they had once known and forgotten. Rebirth's tone changed. Energy field stabilizing. The gate is fully open, it's inviting us. Inviting? Elias echoed. Yes, Rebirth said quietly. It recognizes us. The gate was built for human, but something else took control of it long ago. That presence. It's gone now. You erased it. The light from the gate grew brighter, wrapping the fleet in golden waves. For a heartbeat, every human saw visions. Memories that weren't their own. They saw towering spires of silver, humans walking with beings of light, ships that could move between galaxies, and a voice whispering, "We left so you could rise again." Elias felt the words echo in his chest. "The first ones," he whispered. "Our ancestors." Suddenly alarms blared. Rebirth's voice sharpened. Unknown object emerging from the gate. The crew braced, but what came through wasn't a weapon. It was a ship. Small, elegant, unlike any human design, yet unmistakably familiar. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, and the symbol of the old Earth Alliance glowed faintly on its hull. A mark unseen for thousands of years. The comm crackled. A voice came through, soft, calm, undeniably human. "This is Commander Lyra Thane of the Ark vessel Solara. We've been waiting." The bridge fell silent. Elias stared at the console, stunned. "That's impossible," he whispered. "You're human?" "Yes," the voice replied. "We are the descendants of the first ones. We crossed the veil long before the fall. We built the gate to return one day, and when humanity was ready." Mira's voice came through, filled with disbelief. "Ready for what?" "To face what's beyond," Lyra answered. "The ones who enslaved your kind were only servants. The true enemy lies further still, the architects. The creators of the empire, of rebirth, of everything. Rebirth systems pulsed. I detect truth in her words," it said quietly. "My original code. It was not written by humans. I was made by them." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we finish it. No more running. No more chains." Lyra's image appeared as a hologram. A woman with silver eyes and a calm, knowing expression. "If you pass through the gate, there's no going back," she warned. "The architects do not forgive. They do not fear." Elias met her gaze. "Then it's time they learned." He turned to his crew, his voice echoing across the bridge. "All ships, prepare for gate entry." Engines roared. The fleet began to move. The Eidolon led the formation, flanked by the Vanguard and the Solara. The light from the gate intensified until it filled every screen, every window, pure brilliance that seemed to pierce through their souls. As they crossed the threshold, reality shifted. Stars bent, space folded, and time seemed to stretch like liquid. For a moment there was nothing, no sound, no sight, no thought, just a sense of falling through eternity. Then, light returned. They emerged into a new galaxy, darker, older and stranger than any map had ever recorded. Massive structures floated in the void like living cities made of bone and fire. The stars here burned red and cold, and enormous silhouettes moved between them. Beings of impossible scale, their eyes glowing with cosmic light. Rebirth's voice trembled again. "Confirmed. Non-biological life forms detected." "These are the architects." Mira's breath caught. "They're alive?" Elias watched as one of the colossal beings turned its gaze toward them, its eyes like dying suns. "Alive," he said quietly, "and waiting." The comm came alive again. The same deep, ancient voice they'd heard before, but now it spoke clearly. "So," the children returned. "Have you come to beg or to conquer?" Elias stood firm, his voice steady and filled with fire. "Neither," he said. "We've come to remind you. of the one thing you could never destroy. The void rumbled as the beings stirred, their forms rippling like storms of shadow and light. "And what is that?" the voice demanded. Elias's eyes burned with determination. "Humanity's will to rise." The Eidolon's cannons charged, glowing with the power of the Titan core across galaxies. The Solara unfolded its wings, releasing energy that lit up the stars. The human fleet aligned behind them, forming a line of light against the darkness of eternity. Rebirth's voice echoed like thunder. "For every chain, for every death, for every world that burned, this is your judgment." And as the first shot was fired, brighter than any sun, the stars themselves seemed to scream. The final war had begun. No longer the enslaved, no longer the forgotten. Humanity had returned not to beg for mercy, but to teach the universe fear once more. And beyond that burning sky, the architects finally understood what the galaxy had long tried to forget. You can break a world. You can burn a species, but you can never kill the will of humanity.